Hey guys, hope you're having a great day today. My name is Daniel and I'm the High Mileage Helper. On this channel, my goal is to be able to help you learn more about the RV transporting industry, as well as give how-to videos for your truck and then give recommendations along the way. So if this is our first time meeting, just consider subscribing, hitting the like button if you get good value. And in today's video, we're gonna be talking about something that I really haven't thought about that much, but it truly does play a role, a factor in the RV transporter's life. So we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. So what we're gonna be talking about today is freedom. Freedom is a big factor in why I started in the RV transporting industry. I was told, and I just believed, that there was lots of freedom that comes with this job, which to a certain extent is true. However, there are some situations where our freedom kind of goes away. And essentially what I'm driving at is, you know, we have the choice, the freedom to choose what load we want to get. We have the choice to take long loads, short loads, higher paying loads, lower paying loads, and there's a lot of differences in that. However, along with that comes some compromises. And so an example of that happened recently in the last 2 weeks, taking 2 trailers per week. Which is a little bit more than I have in the last 6 months or so on average. I've been taking really just 1 per week, which means I'm not taking entire week-long trailers. So I pick what load I want. Essentially that means how many days I'm going to be gone, and then I come home. It's not too crazy of an operation. It's pretty simple. Well, when you do back-to-back loads, or maybe you're in the middle of one load and you're booking your next load, there can be some problems that arise. And so for me, over these last couple of weeks, something that I really haven't thought about more recently, because it just hasn't been a thing, is the idea of booking myself to where I no longer have that freedom. I thought I was going to have the ability to work in a few other things, my other business perhaps, some family stuff going on. I thought I was going to be able to have that in between, but in order for timing wise, in order for me to be able to drop off that second load at the second location and be back logistically in time for everything, that really kind of limited my ability to do what I wanted to do, to have that freedom, to be home, to be available to what else I have to do in life, my other responsibilities. So this idea of freedom, yes, to a certain extent we do have it, and there's a great wide spectrum of it. But just one aspect of this that more recently I've really been experiencing and really thinking about is, man, we do have freedom to a certain point, and it's kind of self-inflicted. There's times where we kind of make trouble for ourselves. We decide to, let's say, do maintenance on our truck, and things get out of hand and it turns into a much bigger problem. Well, if we would have had somebody else do it, maybe they could have done it quicker, more efficiently. If we would have waited till after, that next load, or after the next, thing you had to do, you maybe could have saved yourself a big headache and taken your time. But when it comes to freedom in this industry, in this job, specifically with double booking yourself or doing back-to-back, running load against load, and then finding out, oh dear, in order for me to be back in time with my logbook to be legal, that means I have to stop here, which means I'm this far away from the next location where I have to stop, which means I won't be able to deliver the next one on this day. It'll have to actually be the next day. And so if you kind of follow that trail, yes, somebody might be able to say, well, your poor planning is the reason for all this. You're being inefficient with that, and you should do better. Well, in life, things happen where things are out of our control. If you think you're in control, just wait. And so as I have found out in my truck with truck maintenance and truck problems, whether it was my fault or just things wearing out on their own, I have found out to a great degree that there are times where things are out of your control. And when that happens, you need to stop. You have to stop. You've got to be thoughtful of what's going on around you. So when you do that and take care of business, do the right thing, make sure you're legal, make sure you're safe, most importantly, and then you look at your situation and go, okay, well, now the timing doesn't work. It maybe did before, but now it doesn't. So you are now limited. If you do not deliver on this day, then there will be problems if you do not, whatever it is, picking up, delivering, getting to a certain spot in your trip, to be able to map it out for the rest of the delivery, whatever that may be. There will be times where when there's trouble, there will be consequences for that trouble, and problems can arise to where your freedom, your ability to be able to make that next destination, to make the next thing, whatever that is, happen. And so this is just something interesting I've been thinking about. This is not an every week, every trip occurrence where things just go absolutely haywire. Sometimes it seems like that for me with an older mileage truck that I have. Sometimes that can feel like that's the case, but normally that's not. So this is just a video just trying to think through and talk through. Sometimes there are situations that arise that limit our freedom. The biggest exciting thing about this job when I first started, for me personally, was that I was going to be able to have a pretty solid income for me, for what my needs are, be able to pay down my debt and everything else that's going on, to, yes, make my own schedule, which again, like I just said, kind of comes at a price at a certain point. But within that, I was able to have lots and lots of freedom to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And for me, that really included being able to take weeks off in the summer for summer camp, with working with our youth at our church. That included vacations with, at the time, my girlfriend's family. They would go on vacations, I would tag along. There was just a number of different things that came up that I wanted to be able to have that freedom. And for the large, I would say 90% of the time, I'm able to still have that freedom. But along with that freedom does come times where there are issues that arise. And so when that happens, our freedom is drastically limited. Or if we choose to, we either put things off and extend things to where we don't actually make the budget we need to be able to provide for, or that means that other things get squeezed out. So when you book 2 loads back to back, something maybe even happens in between all of that, and you're pressed for time to get to the drop off or pick up by a certain time or whatever that may be. There can be times where you're like, well, if I don't do this right now, I can't deliver, which means what I really have to be back for doesn't happen. And because that's not an option to me, I'm going to be there. It's going to happen, or else there will be some major problems, for other people or other, situations. When that happens, we have to decide, are we going to power through this? Are we going to, maybe we're only planning on driving for maybe 2.5 days and then take a break and then do another 1.5 day load or something like that, like what I often do at times. When that happens and problems arise, that usually means that, okay, well, that 2.5 day turned into a 4 day going all the way straight, non-stop running. So this is a situation that comes up in RV transport. It's definitely happened over the last 60 years, several times, and I just kind of comes with the job. But within that, there are times where it does kind of catch you off guard. You're like, oh dear, this is not what I was planning for. I specifically planned with some cushion, and now that cushion is gone. So I just wanted to share this with you to be a help, so that it can be kind of a warning, or just in the back of your mind, remember, this is always a possibility. The freedom we have is a huge thing. It's a huge plus for this job. And oftentimes, most of the time, we keep that freedom. We don't have to sacrifice it. We don't, we're not held at gunpoint. It's a good deal. It's pretty sweet. But there are times where situations arise that are out of our control, because we are not in control. And we have to deal with the consequences of that and figure out, Am I either going to speed things up and smush things together and just make it work and sacrifice whatever we were hoping to do? Or are we going to say, well, I guess I'm just going to spread this whole thing out and I'm going to make less money because now I'm doing less loads, and oh well. So anyways, again, hopefully this has helped you. Hopefully you have a great day today. Stay safe, guys, and God bless.